Hello, everybody. It's Graham Cove with another My Music. I hope you're all excited for Friday, for Friday, because, it's the best day of the week. It's, before all of the fun of the weekend starts. If you're going to a gig this weekend, do let us know where you're going, who you're going to see. That would be great. We'd love to know. In a minute, I'm going to be speaking to Megzz here. But first, let's have this little video from Analog Trash. Enjoy. There you go. As the video says, support independent musicians, get involved, because that's what it's all about. They can only succeed if you actually spend a bit of money and give of your time and money to independent music. That's absolutely right, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. Especially time. Just any time or energy or focus goes a long way.
So important. So important. How are you? And where are you coming from today?
I'm good, thank you. And I am in Northamptonshire. So
Lovely.
Middle of nowhere really, but nice and quiet and peaceful today.
Is it the fairly flat part of Northamptonshire?
Yes.
Yeah, you see, I know. Well, I'm a Bedford boy, born and bred.
Okay.
I live down in Somerset now, but yeah, so drove through Northamptonshire loads and loads of time, and lots of people go, that's the whole boring part of the country because it's really flat.
It's just landlocked. It's flat. Yeah. There's not a lot going on, but
yeah. I'm going off piece from the questions that I sent you already, but where is most of your music scene happening for you? Is it actually around there, or is it more towards London?
It's more towards London. There's not loads of opportunities or like a big music scene in Northampton. It's definitely getting bigger, but kind of Oxford way and then London, kind of split half and half.
I love Oxford.
Mm.
Oxford's a lovely place, but London, obviously, I think, especially with your kind of music's probably got the music scene.
The place to be still.
Yeah. So, listen, tell us a bit more about your musical journey. What started your real interest in taking music seriously?
Well, I've always played music since I was young. I started learning guitar when I was 5 and just enjoyed playing music from there. And I would always sing to myself. I would always, kind of know like, oh, I've kind of got an okay voice, but I just had no confidence. I remember growing up as well, I would like start singing to myself, doing little kind of karaoke's in my room. And there were times where I thought, okay, this actually sounds okay. So I'd invite my parents in to listen, but they had to sit at the other end of the room and face the wall. They couldn't look at me because the confidence just wasn't there.
Can I just say, that is the scariest audience any artist will ever have in their life. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm not being funny. I've played fairly large gigs. I've played reasonably small gigs in a pub or whatever, but sitting at home with your parents watching is just the most terrifying.
The smaller gigs tend to be the scarier ones, especially when it's people people you're close to, because it's just so much more intimate. So even, growing up, I was like, you can listen, but you have to look away. And then as soon as I'm done, you have to leave the room. That's it. We don't talk about it.
I love that.
Just go. But
Did anyone else in your family sing though? Anyone else join in with you?
Not really, no. I come from a musical family in a sense that my mum played piano, my sister learnt piano and violin. My great grandma, she played violin. So there's elements there, but nobody else really sings. And I think it was just a case of gaining confidence for me. I was kind of not forced into it, but I remember in secondary school, I had a friend who would beatbox, and we used to mess about in class and not not listen to the maths lesson going on.
Teacher. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. But he decided we should have a bet. We should both make YouTube channels and upload videos for a month and see who got the most followers. I think the bet was for £10. I never got that £10 actually.
But you won.
I won, so I got the most views, most subscribers in a month, and I never got that £10. But I got something a lot more valuable, to be fair. So I'll let him off with the £10.
Yeah. But what's his name?
Alex.
Alex, if you're watching though, you do actually owe Megzz £10.
Yeah, right? I'll send you my bank details when.
Yeah, or next time you see it, just buy her a coffee, because that's probably about 10 quid worth these days anyway.
Actually. But no, I got more than £10 because I got confidence in actually doing it. People were actually watching and saying, "Oh my god, you can actually really sing. Like, why don't you do this?" And it just gave me a lot more confidence.
And you've got the confidence now in terms of performing live. We were talking literally just before we came on about the fact that I said I ought to teach some musicians how to do this, because nobody teaches you how to do this. But I guess having your own YouTube channel and starting that at an early age, that would have helped with this as well. Talking in front of camera, etc. Are there any bits that you're still finding your feet with in terms of maybe like the promotion, the social media, having your photo taken all the time?
Hit the nail on the head there. It's definitely the social media. I can post on social media. I'm honest, I'm upfront. I know what kind of things I want to post, but I know that I'm not necessarily consistent enough for how kind of the media and the music industry wants artists to be. And I try and be open, but not so open about my personal life that everyone knows everything. So I think it's just kind of finding that sweet spot in the middle.
Do you know what though? I have a big problem with that, right? That and you're not the first young artist that has said that to me. The way that we're meant to do this. But the thing is, and it's a bit like, I say this because I coach people in social media. It's a bit like this on any platform. If you do it the same as everybody else is doing it, you're not being you.
No, exactly.
Yeah, there's a fine line there between actually sort of following a formula, but then standing out.
Yeah.
And actually being seen as the person that's doing this.
And it's finding that niche that is the difficult part.
Yeah, sometimes it's just about finding like a little thing that you do that you enjoy doing that nobody else is doing. But it's being consistent with it and just doing it over and over again. Your debut EP, Feel My Love, explored a lot of forms of love, which is always lovely. A lot of people that come on talk about love, and they're exploring love at the moment in their songs. But what inspired you to follow that theme?
Well, I think in society and the music industry in general, we put kind of romantic love, romantic relationships on such a pedestal that we don't really focus on any other types of love, or we don't think about how complex love actually is, all the aspects of what it means to love and be loved and how complex that can be. I think it's important to focus on all the different types of love, whether that's self-love or love that you have for your friends or your family or passions that you have. So I think it's just important to show people, especially growing up, especially teenagers, those years when you're going into secondary school and things, and it's all about romantic love, and that's the be all and end all. Romantic love obviously can be lovely, but there's a lot more.
I suppose years ago, we used to be a more religious society. I mean, a lot of us would have maybe brought up in a church background or whatever, and we, things like the Bible will talk about, like, is it 8 different types of love, etc. But you'd learn that, right? But these days, it's just like love just gets thrown out there, like on the front of a card.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, we don't really think about or speak about the different types of love or the way that people like to be loved or love languages and all that sort of thing. So I think it's important to teach that, to speak out about that. And it also kind of ties in with like mental health as well. It's so important that we speak out about these kind of things and let people know that they're not the only ones that might be feeling down. It's also important to talk about, you know, the downsides of love, the hard parts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually that ties into what I was going to ask you about next, because you've been actively involved in a lot of social causes as well. You know, and to me, that's an extension of talking about love, isn't it? Because that's love within a community and understanding the broader community. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about how you've been actively involved?
Yeah, well, community is just very important to me in general, whether that's being part of a community or creating a community. And yeah, activism is very important to me, and it feeds into a lot of the things that I do, especially during the pandemic when we were all kind of stuck inside and that sense of community was lost. And not only did we have that to deal with, but we had all of the terrible, you know, police brutality incidents going on that was just made everything even heavier. And so I wanted to, you know, do something, make a difference and create something to kind of bring people together and feel a sense of community.
I wonder whether we'd lost that in society for a while. I felt that we kind of had that at a point when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I certainly felt that there was a period in time, especially around music as well, where we had Live Aid, we had, you know, Free Nelson Mandela, the concert and whatever. Do you know what I mean? There was a whole lot of movements where we thought we were fighting and we were changing the world. And then we seemed to go into a period of apathy.
Yeah.
Where we were like, just like, well, maybe we can't do it. And, you know, maybe we should just leave it up to the politicians. Do you think we're moving back towards a period where, you know, the arts in particular are really moving that along?
I think so, yeah. And I think it's always been difficult on both parts. I don't think there's been a time where in the arts people haven't been focused on social causes or raising awareness for things. I think it just hasn't been the forefront in society. So even though, you know, behind the scenes within the arts and the entertainment industry, people are still very socially driven and want to create that sense of community, we haven't been able to, whether that's to do with the pandemic or funding or just other things going on in society that are placed with a higher value.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people who are cynical might say that, you know, the kind of double kick in the teeth of Brexit and then, you know, COVID or whatever may have been politically driven in some shape or form in order to push the arts down. It certainly didn't do the arts any good, did it?
No, it didn't. But I think we came back with a vengeance and fought our way through it.
Yeah, good. Absolutely. I mean, what in your view, what's the best thing that people can do to help in those causes? I mean, is it come out to gigs and support and get involved practically? What do you want to see people do?
Definitely. And I think people get confused when you say about supporting upcoming artists and they're thinking, oh, they want me to buy all this merch or do all of this. It's not that. It's literally as simple as, you know, if you're posting something on Instagram or TikTok and you think, oh, I could put a song with this, but I don't really know what song, put a song of somebody that an upcoming artist that you know, because it actually does so much. So even just, you know, buying a ticket and coming down to a gig or letting your friends know, you might see a gig that I have in London, but you're from Northampton, Oxfordshire, and you can't make it, but you know someone who lives in London. So you let them know. It's literally as simple as that, just word of mouth, just speaking to people and just putting things out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is just about sharing of information, sharing of community, building community. I mean, we've started doing another thing other than this on a weekly basis where I've got bands and artists talking to each other live on Instagram, and we're beginning to build a community there, and it's brilliant. I think it's, you know, because you don't know what you don't know at the end of the day, and it's it's empowering when people come together and go, oh yeah, actually, well, I know someone in the music scene here in Manchester, and I know someone in London, and actually I could perhaps put you in touch with that person.
It's so easy in the music industry to kind of take that competitive stance and take that as they're my competition, they're the people that I'm up against in the music industry, when actually they're people that are exactly the same as you in the same position. You might have a really good contact that for you isn't that relevant, but for them could make the world of difference to their career.
Yeah.
I just find that there's so much gatekeeping in the music industry.
Oh, talk to me about it. Even doing these interviews, my friend, there's so much gatekeeping. I've spoken to some fairly big artists behind the scenes who have said, I want to come and do your interview because you ask great questions and you don't just ask me what flavor biscuit I want. And then management or PR company have said no. And that person's only doing one interview and it's got to be here. And you just think, why are you doing that? Don't put your artist on some kind of pedestal which they don't want to be sat on.
Exactly. And it's just even, the whole industry, the whole system, the way it's set up, even, radio, getting radio play. There's a lot of radio stations or presenters that won't take a song unless you have a radio plugger. And it's kind of like that gatekeeping of, well, the radio plugger is not going to do, they have more experience and they have more contacts, but they're not going to do too much different. They're still pitching the same song that I would be.
Yeah, well, this is what I love about it. Independent artists rising up together. And I have seen in this last year or so, I've been really encouraged by seeing some of the stuff that's been going on social media where we've seen some independent artists without record labels or whatever, or on their own labels, getting high in the album charts or whatever. And it's because other independent artists have said, good on you, go on. We're going to get behind your campaign and whatever as well. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah,
I think that's entirely how it should be.
Definitely.
There we go. You can get me passionate about that. Outside of music and activism, though, what are you passionate about?
It still kind of feeds into all the same things. I'm passionate about, helping other people, and that comes in different ways. I work for the NHS, and just things like supporting my friends and family, spending time with them means a lot. And just writing in lots of different forms, whether it's music and lyrics, or whether it's just journaling or writing poetry or spoken word. I just enjoy writing.
We've got Claire Wilkins saying that interesting. I agree with the point you're making. When I was presenting, I was willing to plug any songs. Well, yes. Unfortunately, that's getting taken away from a lot of presenters, though. They can only play what's on a playlist.
And it's not the presenter's decision or their fault. It's just how the way the industry is going.
Having worked in radio, sometimes I've sat like that. Because, absolutely. Thank you, Andrew, for your comment. Business should not stand in the way of talent.
100%, yeah.
Boom. Yes, but it does. But we can do something about it. We can actually put money and support in the hands of the artists that we actually truly love, and we can elevate them in that way. And we just have to do that. We have to put behind it. Do you think streaming's played a little bit of it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's great. It gets us out there. It's allowed a really easy distribution model, but at the same time, people think consumers have got a little bit lazy because they just think that they can just shout at the thing in the corner and music emits from it, but actually they don't think about how that music's got in there.
I don't think a lot of people who purely just listen to music aren't involved in kind of making music. I don't think they understand the process that goes behind it. A lot of my friends and my family have seen me kind of on this journey in my career and said to me, I never realized just how much went into it. It's not just writing a song, recording it, and then putting it out into the world and that it's there, it goes to number one. There's so much more behind it. And managers and labels are so focused on numbers, streaming numbers, social media followers, your monthly listeners.
All
It's
the way
not
through.
a case of
all the way through. Absolutely. If the first question any PR company will ask me is, how many streams have you got for this? How many followers have you got for that? And that's what they're asking artists all the time.
And it's that cycle of being an independent artist, not having the numbers that the label manager, whoever it is, wants you to have, but knowing that you make good music, knowing that it's a good song. But the only way to get those numbers up is to have the support of a manager or a label and, like, you know, get a push that way. But you can't until you have the numbers, and then you get stuck in that cycle.
Oh, I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, which is, folks, the best thing you can do is, if your favorite artist is, or someone that you really love their music of, if you're, don't just stream their song on Spotify or whatever, follow them on Spotify, add their song to a playlist, share it with other people, tell other people to follow that artist, because as those numbers stack up, that helps that artist. That is such a simple thing to do.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be, you know, if you can't afford to come to a gig, obviously coming to a gig is an amazing way to support an independent artist. But if you haven't got the money, or, you know, you're not available on those dates, literally just sharing in a group chat, sharing a link to whether it's the gig or the music in a group chat, because that's how you grow your audience. And for me personally, I'd much rather have a small community of listeners that actually listen to the music, that actually take something from the music, rather than just have it on in the background and I've got millions of streams, but nobody's kind of actively listening.
I totally agree. Listen, folks, that's entirely what WhatsApp's for. It's not for anything else in life. It's literally just for getting your favorite music shared. Right? You've heard that first here. What kind of live performer would you say you are?
I love performing live. After kind of writing music, that's my second favorite part of being a musician, being an artist. A lot of people ask me, do you get nervous when you go on stage? Do you get nervous when you perform? And it really is the opposite way around. I suffer with anxiety, and I am so much more nervous and anxious in everyday situations, talking to the salesperson in a shop, than I am on stage. I walk on stage and it feels like home. It feels like that's where I'm meant to be. And that's the time I feel the least anxious.
So it's actually, for you, it's, you know, the moment you walk off stage.
Yeah, the moment I walk off stage, and I've still got all that adrenaline.
And a group of people come around you, and it's
feelings, like, and then, you know, while the adrenaline's high, I still like mixing with those people, and then as it comes down towards the end of the night, I'm like, okay, I need to just go to bed now. Like, that's enough for me. But I feel like I'm a very energetic and expressive performer. I want it to be a whole. I don't want it to just be you turn up and, you know, you listen to a song and there's a bit of a break, you're thinking about this, talking about this. I want it to be you come and you feel a sense of community. You feel like you're in a safe space that's accessible to everyone, and you just forget about everything else and you can just kind of live through this show. I want it to be a show rather than just a collection of songs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I like that comment, Jim. Like any business, they want someone that has 20 years experience, 10 million followers, and they've just left school.
Yeah, it's that whole
things don't add up.
You need 20 years of experience, but to get 20 years of experience, you need to have 20 years of experience to get it is literally like that.
I'm going to give you a song. I'm not going to sing it. I could do, but I'm not going to. And it's probably not your kind of music either, but I'll leave it with you so that you can go and listen to it afterwards, and just take away the message. It's called The Levers, and it's by a band called Marillion. It's quite a grown-up song, but actually it's about that whole experience of what happens when you go away, you tour, you're on stage every night, and then you come back, and that kind of experience for the people you leave behind, and then what it's like when you have to re-enter real world.
Yeah,
it's a great song to listen to because it's from people that have done it for years. And
yeah, definitely.
And it's it's a very interesting. It's a mind warp, really.
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming today. This is
Thank you for
blown by. But before you go, tell us any upcoming projects, releases, etc., that you've got going on, so people can do the thing that we've talked about. Support.
Exactly, share them, support. I actually announced yesterday that my second EP is going to be coming out towards the end of September. It's available to pre-save now, and that's another thing. I don't think people realize the value of pre-saving. If you pre-save a song, it kind of shows the algorithms, shows Spotify, shows people that, okay, like people are excited for this, they're ready for this release, so they want to do more for it, to do more for you, to do more for those people. So pre-saving it has a real effect. I've also got a gig Friday the 29th of September in London where I'm going to be performing the EP for the first time. So if you're free.
I am gutted because you said come along, and I would have. If I wasn't in Bristol watching Ellie Dixon, who I'm not going to blame for that, it's my fault. But I would be there.
Yeah.
We need to get you to Bristol, by the way. We do need to get you to Bristol. I just think Bristol would be kind of your outside of London. I think Bristol would be your kind of music scene, to be honest, as well.
I'll go anywhere.
Promoters, if you're listening, especially promoters around Bristol, what are you waiting for? Simple as that. I'm actually going to be contacting some of you soon to see if we can organise that. All right.
That's great.
We're going to try and make that happen.
Lovely.
Megzz, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for
having a little chat.
It's flown by.
It has. Half an hour, just boom, like that. Folks, what she said. If you've enjoyed this today, please share with your friends. Not for me, I don't care about me. That's it. I'm long in the tooth. But for the young artists that come on, they do need your support. So please share so that they can get their message out there and people can start following them. That's marvelous. All of the people that have commented today, please go and support Megzz. Go and follow her on the platforms as well. And if you've enjoyed this, then do subscribe, just so that more people can see these interviews. We're nearly at 280 interviews now. I'm going for a world record, by the way, Megzz. If I'm going to be the most prolific interviewer of musicians on Spotify by the end of the year, that is going to happen. More interviews than anybody else.
Seeing the results.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Absolutely. Thank you to everyone for today. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.